Coming up, investigators are searching for the cause after a fire broke out at a Fargo apartment complex. A former Valley teacher is facing child porn charges. What we know about the investigation. And more pro-abortion rallies are set to take place in Fargo and at other locations around the region. Hello and welcome to the Nightly Review. I'm Tom Tucker. We begin with a look at tonight's headlines, then a closer look, with comments tonight from a candidate for Fargo City Commission who says recent concerns with morale and staffing at the police department were out of proportion. And Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is my guest tonight for the one-on-one conversation. He'll talk about the state's latest efforts aimed at addressing the opioid crisis. He'll also talk about the accomplishments he's most proud of during his first term in office as he prepares to focus on his re-election campaign. But first tonight, a former Moorhead public school teacher is accused of sharing child pornography. 25-year-old Caleb Brush is at the Cass County Jail facing felony charges of promoting or directing an obscene performance by a minor and possessing child porn. The charges date back to June 13th. At the time, Brush was a social studies teacher at the Moorhead Alternative Learning Center. He was hired in December, but a district spokesperson says Brush's employment with the school district ended on February 23rd. A stabbing suspect is officially charged in court in connection with a felony robbery and aggravated assault in South Fargo. Jonathan Peterson was arrested Monday and is being held in Beltrami County, Minnesota. Police say the 23-year-old is being charged in the May 6th attack and has no permanent address. Fire investigators are looking for the cause of a blaze last night at an apartment complex in South Fargo. The fire was reported around 11 o'clock in the 600 block of 11th Street South. It took crews almost an hour to put out the blaze, which caused an estimated $100,000 in damage. Tenants quickly evacuated the building and no one was injured. 28 people are now looking for other places to stay. 8 cats were removed from the building unharmed, and the complex will now require extensive repairs. Details are now being released for a new improvement plan for the Fargo Police Department and for Chief Dave Zabolski. City commissioners ordered the plan in January as an effort to address issues with morale and staffing. Zabolski created the plan in March with an initial goal to improve recruitment, retention, and satisfaction within the department. The department is also addressing the mental health of its officers. Well, nobody was home, but the damage is extensive after a home in Detroit Lakes was struck by lightning Wednesday night.
Run into heavy smoke coming out of the roof line of a home on the south side of Big Detroit Lake. We made an entry up into the main area of the house, started pulling ceiling down, and quickly realized that the entire roof area was fully involved. It just hadn't burned out yet.
Detroit Lakes Fire Chief Ryan Swanson says crews were on scene for several hours to put out the blaze. The house is a total loss. Pro-abortion rallies are set to take place Saturday night at 6 o'clock at Fargo City Hall and at other locations around North Dakota. Organizers call the rallies Bans Off Our Bodies. The rallies are a response to a draft decision leaked from the U.S. Supreme Court that indicates the court is considering overturning Roe v. Wade. North Dakota is one of 13 states to have trigger laws in place that would automatically enact an abortion ban if Roe v. Wade is overturned. North Dakota School Superintendent Kirsten Baszler and educators from around the state are set to begin drafting new standards for math, English, language arts, and literacy. The standards would apply to grades K through 12. We're told the standards provide a framework for what students should know and be able to do by set points in their primary and secondary education process. The standards were last updated in 2017. A body recovered from the Knife River in Beulah is that of a missing teenager. 18-year-old Tyler Schaefer was last seen near the Congregational Church on Saturday, April 30th. His body was found in the Knife River last night, and his identity was confirmed by Beulah police today. There's no word yet on the cause of death. A kit fox in Anoka County, Minnesota has tested positive for bird flu. The deadly and highly contagious virus has killed large numbers of wild birds this spring. The Department of Natural Resources says the positive case for the fox is the first confirmed in a wild mammal in Minnesota. We're told the current outbreak of bird flu is more widespread and aggressive than the last outbreak in 2015. For the 23rd consecutive year, the city of Fargo will serve as host of Special Olympics North Dakota State Summer Games. The tournament this Saturday at Fargo Davies High School will offer competition for children and adults with intellectual disabilities. 280 athletes from across North Dakota will compete. All competition events are free and open to the public. In a closer look tonight, Fargo City Commission candidate Will Thompson says some of the recent headlines concerning morale and staffing in the police department are blowing the issues, quote, out of proportion. Thompson is encouraging residents to listen to Fargo Police Chief Dave Zabolski if they have any concerns about the department.
You know, I think that it's largely been a bit of a moral panic that's been ginned up. I don't think that there's, which isn't to say that there might not be problems, but I think that they're getting blown a little bit out of proportion. I think that you're always going to see a bit of a transitory period when somebody new takes over in leadership.
Thompson, who is running for city public office for the first time, says he supports the improvement plan for the police department enacted by the Fargo City Commission. He shared the comments while appearing on WDAY Midday. Thompson also says optics and respect are important when it comes to public interactions among commission members.
You can be frank without being disagreeable. You can disagree without being completely and utterly disagreeable. So I think that decorum is something that's important, and I think that there's a desire from most people in this city to have a little bit more decorum.
Thompson said if elected, he'll focus on removing restrictions on green energy in the city, addressing housing affordability, and communicating commission intent to residents living in the city. Well, if you enjoy watching the Nightly Review for all your local news and information needs, please be sure to hit subscribe and the bell button below to make sure you're always up to date. Well, stormy weather is sweeping through the region tonight. Let's check in now with meteorologist Justin Storm in the Skywatch Weather Center for the latest.
Thanks, Tom. Throughout this evening, up until about 9 or 10 o'clock, we'll see a strong line of thunderstorms capable of producing damaging wind gusts over 75 miles per hour and large hail exiting into Minnesota, then just scattered general showers and thunder showers through the rest of tonight as clouds gradually decrease. Temperatures will drop near 53 degrees tonight with a southwest wind around 15 to 30, gusting up to 40. And then a windy day for your Friday. Skies will go partly cloudy with a slight chance for an isolated shower here or there across the area with highs in the upper 60s and wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour to the southwest. The winds do lighten up for your Saturday. It'll still be breezy with a slight chance for a few light morning showers and then temperatures in the mid-60s through the afternoon.
It could happen to you or someone you love. One moment, one diagnosis can change everything. Thankfully, there's a program that helps caring people uplift families through a crisis. Lend a Hand Up, raising financial help and hope through community benefits and online campaigns. A program that boosts generosity so gifts go further. Lend a Hand Up helps you help your neighbors. Learn more and give at lendahandup.org.
Welcome back to the Nightly Review. My guest for the one-on-one conversation tonight is Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. The governor, who is seeking re-election, has just signed a bill which allocates $300 million into the state's opioid response fund. The money comes from a multi-state settlement with opioid manufacturers. We're told the money will be used for addiction education, prevention, and treatment. I first asked Governor Walz for his thoughts on the opioid response bill.
Yeah, we've got some good stuff out there. This is another one of those areas, great bipartisan support. You know, this is true across the river too, and in all states in this country. This opioid epidemic is, it knows no boundaries, it's not city country, it's not economics, it's not race, it is decimating families. And this piece of legislation starts to get at the heart of that. We have recently put a position into the administration that'll be cabinet level position on recovery and opioid response, because we know the devastation it causes to families. It also is a big driver in spikes in crime around these issues, around this illegal, especially fentanyl, a lot of it's Chinese fentanyl. So I think once again, you saw leaders, and we have members of the Minnesota House and Senate who've lost children to this, and they come to this work passionately about making sure no one else has to go through this. So, I mean, these are things that are happening here. We were able to, sign legislation around unemployment insurance, around frontline workers, tackling veterans issues, tackling opioid. I'm just really proud of the work that's being done together. This one, I think, will make a difference.
You are now in the process of seeking a second term. How are things going now with regard to your reelection campaign?
Yeah, well, I don't start putting a lot of time into this until after this session ends. We finish up here in a week or so. I think the reception is good. I was asked to deal with some of the most challenging issues that have faced our state, maybe since our state's history. And I think by all indicators, whether it's being one of the nation's lowest death rates from COVID, third highest job creation rate, we have historic surpluses at the same time that I've never raised a single tax in my time in office. And I think when folks step back and start to assess that and make a determination against those who would like to have this job and myself who've done it, I think whether they agree or disagree politically, they'll have to say I do not call names to people. I do not denigrate people. I accept responsibility, and then I try and put the best people in place. So I think the response has been tremendous. I will put more time into this, Tom, once we get through the session. But as far as support for the campaign, we have the highest amount of ever raised for a campaign for governor in the state of Minnesota. Those continue to show support. We have huge numbers of volunteers out on the streets already, and we'll be prepared to make the case that Minnesota's future is one where we try and work around bipartisanship. We try and do this with respect and dignity, and then we measure results. So I'm feeling confident about where we're headed.
Looking back now over your first term so far, what are some of the things or accomplishments you're most proud of?
Yeah, I think navigating the pandemic in a way that sets us apart from most states. Those things are measurable. They did it. We've continued to learn. We've tackled issues that are facing and plaguing, communities across the country in terms of racial issues. We've made historic investments in education. I restored local government aid, and this is particularly important to Greater Minnesota, back to the 2002 levels that had been cut for all those years. We've done 2 budgets together, again, without raising a single tax and balancing the budget. We passed the largest jobs bill, highways, and infrastructure in state history. I think those are just some of the things people expect, that if you're in this job, take responsibility and make things work. And a pandemic, we continue to operate and do things. And I'm proud of that. And I think there's more work to be done. I think we'll get more work done this week. And then I think looking towards the future, how do we make sure that Minnesota continues to rank first or second in job creation? How do we make sure, again, we were second in overall happiness? We were first in number of people insured for health insurance. We have to keep those things up and have to make sure everybody is able to thrive.
I'd like to thank Governor Tim Walz for joining me for tonight's one-on-one conversation. During my interview, I also asked Walz about his response to COVID-19 in Minnesota and looking back whether he would change anything about his strategy. His answer to that and more coming up in part 2 of my conversation with Governor Walz tomorrow night. Well, that will do it for this Thursday night, May 12th, 2022. I'm Tom Tucker. Thanks for watching the Nightly Review.